Again, the question is asked, what is it that is present when the body, mind and soul are in alignment and the three dimensions of existence are merged in the eternal now? There's that story about the seeker who came into the presence of a great sage, and he remained under the tutelage of this sage for some years. The sage was quite old, but it was found that in his dotage that his old wife became pregnant just at a time when the sage had decided to go on a pilgrimage. So the saint left, and the seeker remained to take care of the wife during her pregnancy. And when the time of the birth came around, the seeker stood outside the door, guarding the door of the birth chamber. Now as he was standing there, an old man dressed as a monk came to the door, and the seeker bowed the way. "You cannot enter here." But the old monk said, "I am the god Brahma, and it is my task to write the fate of a newborn child on its forehead with my stylus." The seeker said, "Well, tell me, what is the fate of this child?" And Brahma said, "The fate is only known according to the child's karma when the stylus is placed on its forehead." So the seeker said, "Well, you will tell me what the child's fate is when you depart." So after the birth, when Brahma was leaving, the seeker demanded to know the fate of this child. And Brahma said, "He is destined to become a coolie. He will have in his lifetime only one bullock and a bag of rice." Well, the seeker was horrified. How could the child of this great saint have such a fate? But then Brahma said to the seeker, "You will tell no one of what you have learned, otherwise your head will split into 1,000 pieces." So the seeker kept his peace, speaking nothing about what it is that he knew, even when the sage returned. Now time passed, and again the sage was going on a pilgrimage just at a time when his wife became pregnant yet again. And again the seeker kept guard outside the chamber, and when Brahma came, he again demanded to know the fate of this child. And when Brahma was leaving, Brahma told the seeker that this child was to become a prostitute, living the life of such a one. Again, the seeker was aghast. How could it be that this great being could have a child with such a destiny? But again Brahma told him that his head would split in 1,000 pieces if he revealed what he knew. So the seeker kept his peace. Now, when the children, the boy at the age of 5 and the girl at the age of 2, the seeker decided that he would depart himself on a pilgrimage traveling the world. He had spent a great deal of time thinking about the fate of these children, but realizing he had no power of any kind. So he had to keep his peace, and the great sadness that he felt in his heart to himself. So his travels, taking him to many, many places for 20 years, he learned great wisdom. He attained great estates. But then, after those 20 years, he decided he would return to his old teacher's village. But when he arrived there, the old sage and his wife were now long past. But he sought out the son, now 25 years old, and indeed found him as a coolie, living in great poverty, with a wife and children, barely living a subsistence life with his one bullock and a bag of rice. Now the seeker went after the son, and when he came to the door, he asked the son, "Do you recognize me?" And the son, of course, did not, and the seeker told him, of course, that he was the old student of his old father. And, of course, the son invited him in. But then the seeker, now no longer a seeker, one might say, said to the son, "Tomorrow you take your bullock and your bag of rice, and you sell them in the market, and you buy food for your family. And when you have that food, you share what is left with those in need, and keep nothing for yourself." But the son, of course, said, "What will we do if we do not have our bullock and our rice? I have nothing to feed my family." But then the son's wife intervened and said, "This is obviously a great saint. We must do what he says." So they did. They sold their bullock and their rice, and they feasted, and they shared their feasting with all those in need, and kept nothing for themselves. The next day the son woke up thinking, "Oh, I don't have to go to the barn today to feed my bullock because I don't have a bullock anymore." But when he went to the barn, there was a bullock, and there was a bag of rice. The sage again said, "Ensure that every day you sell and share. Keep nothing for yourself." And this is what they did. And then the sage asked the son about his sister. And the son said, "Oh, great shame. She is the town prostitute. We have nothing to do with her." But the sage sought out the sister. And when he went to her door, he asked her, did she recognize him? And when she said no, he again explained that he was the student of her father. So she invited him in, and the sage said to the woman, "Tonight you will close your door to all your clients, and you will only answer to the door the one who carries with him pearls for you. He is your husband, and you will remain faithful to him. Sell those pearls to feed yourself and take yourself out of poverty. Share what remains with those in need. Keep nothing for yourself. So this the woman said she would do. So that night, when clients came to her door, she did not answer, but only answered when the knock came from the one bearing pearls. The sage remained sleeping under a tree near her house to ensure that she followed what he had spoken of, and indeed she did. And when this was assured, before dawn, one morning, the sage rose up and went off down the road. But as he was walking down the road, a great shining being was walking towards him, leading a bullock and carrying a bag of rice on his head, and in his hands a case of pearls. When they came close to one another, the shining being said to the sage, "O human who has attained, look what you have done to me. Every night I must lead a bullock and carry a bag of rice and take these pearls to a woman." And the sage said, "If you expiate the karma of these beings and let them lead an ordinary life, you would be free of your tasks." And the shining being, who was of course Brahma, said, "O human, I hear you, and as are all the gods, I must obey." What is this place? What is it that is present when the body, mind and soul are in alignment, and the three dimensions of existence merged in the eternal present? What's the meaning of this story relative to this? The gods hear and must obey.
When we're in alignment, we become in alignment with all of existence.
Exactly so. No. And all of existence becomes the servant of existence. What is it? It is here. What is it that's here? No self. Is there? No trace of a self. No trace of an I. What remains?